or just even just downtime from work. If you're an independent contractor and you're in this like liminal state, right, of like not working or being in between jobs, like how is your mindset during that time? So I mean, I'm guilty of it. I have imposter syndrome as well, to where I'll immediately, if I'm not working, I'm thinking like, oh my God, I'm never going to work again.
All right, everyone, welcome back to the show. This is Whiskey and Wine.
Over whiskey and wine, man.
Over whiskey and wine. I knew that. I did not start early. And we have a guest, Matt.
Yes. Hi guys. Thanks for having me on. Yeah. And so I know you guys, it's called Whiskey and Wine podcast. And so I don't normally drink. And so I do have a shot of whiskey here on the side. And I figured let's have some fun. So if you guys ask a question and I don't want to answer it, I'll take a shot, or not the full thing. I'll take a sip of the whiskey there, just to make it.
I like that. I like that
kind
deal.
of fun. Yeah. Right. Yeah. So I think we'll have some fun here.
Sweet.
Cool. And so just I guess for the audience to know a bit about me. So I'm a filmmaker. I live in Burbank, I guess Los Angeles. And I've been a filmmaker pretty much my whole life. Started off making, scripts let me start from the very, very beginning. So I was like 3, toddler years when I was acting in like home movies. So not as much, like wasn't really aware of what was going on. Just my stepbrother at the time was on like a media, film class in high school, and he would have me act in like little short home movies,
Yeah.
And then eventually when I got to, my teenage years myself, 12, 13, I started writing scripts of my own. And, it just kind of shifted from there, instead of writing. Well, I still write, literally writing today as well. But, I shifted from writing into directing. And when I was in my I guess in high school, 17 or so, I started directing documentaries and short films and all that good stuff. And so now, after moving to LA, going to film school, living out here for 10 years, and, thankfully making it through the pandemic, career-wise, I've started doing these vertical series. And so they're still kind of new in the sense of like, not many people really know about them yet, but they're like vertical soap operas that people watch on their phones, and they're very, very quick pace. Like you have to it is a feature length film, like 80 plus pages of a script, but it's so condensed and so compact with the drama and everything that's going on that, it's like each episode is like maybe maximum 2 minutes long. And it's just, you have to just keep watching. Like there's a slap in every episode. There's a push into a pool. There's all kinds of, very, very similar dramatic beats that happen all throughout.
A drink in the face.
Yeah. Drink in the face, like all of it, pulling the strap.
I'm assuming a lot of cliffhangers in between.
Oh yeah. A freeze frame on a reaction of some sort, for sure. Yeah.
That's funny. That's cool. Because I've been seeing a lot of that like on TikTok, part 1, part 2, part 3, and then you have to go to someone's page to see the rest.
Yeah. And I mean, these apps are making bank. The most popular one right now is Real Short. And I haven't seen, of course, like any documents to prove this or anything, but the word is that this app is actually making more than Netflix right now. And, so that's why I say it's like a sleeping giant. Like not too many people even know about this app, but yet it's making that much money. So, who knows really what this year will bring, for all these folks that are working on these projects. And, because the market's really, really oversaturated right now. There's so many different platforms. And of course, I think Real Short will always be one that stands out because, of course, they're the biggest. But yeah, there's a lot of, ones that are trying to make their way into the market. And, I'm available to work with as many as I want to. Like I've consistently worked with Shortmax for a while, just because like I'm pretty loyal in the sense of like I worked with them for the first 2 projects that did really well. And so, they just kind of gave me project back to back, and I didn't really have time to even, accept any other offers.
Explain those platforms real quick a little bit more, because I'm thinking like social media, but I think you're talking about like an actual art being delivered to people, right?
Yeah, like an actual streaming service. And so these platforms, like just to go into naming a few, there's Real Short, there's Short Max, there's Drama Box, there's I mean, it's literally a list is endless if you just look up short drama, and they're international too. So there's like Viglu, and they're located, here also, but they're, more based in South Korea. There's Dramalet, and they're based in Turkey. And it's really just there's so many different platforms. Like honestly, like too many to name and to count and to remember. But that's why too, like there's really no sense of competition amongst the community that's here right now, because there's literally so many opportunities for everybody. And yeah, it's really exciting times. So so when you think about it, like these platforms are another streaming service. So when you have, like these other platforms such as, or streaming services such as like HBO Max or Peacock, Netflix, those are streaming services of a certain type of content, like TV series and movies and all of that good stuff. So these new streaming services are all vertical content that you see on your phone, and they're kind of more so for the female audience. I don't think you guys would really care about like alpha billionaire CEOs and
Hey,
like these
you never know.
dramatic
I've
little
seen
soap
50
operas.
Shades of Grey.
Yeah, so I mean, it's very much that, it is that mixed with like Twilight and my particular genre that I've been like pigeonholed into, unfortunately, is these alpha werewolf shows. And I say unfortunately, like it's great that I work a lot, doing these, but I say unfortunately because like all of these meetings that I have with another platform, they're like, are you able to do a more contemporary, like are you able to do this college romance story? And I have to like convince them that I'm able to do it, even though I'll take a look at the script and the scenes are exactly the same, but instead of it taking place in a forest, it's taking place in a school,
Yeah.
like literally same dialogue, same actions, same everything. But for some reason they, if they see that I've only done werewolf shows, then they only feel comfortable with me doing a werewolf show. So that's where it gets, a little shitty, but it's all good. There's a lot of money that, of course, that rides on these projects. I'm not sure what each budget is. I could assume it's around like 100K or 100,000 to 200,000 maximum, but yeah, so they're definitely, projects, they're definitely like low budget, but a healthy budget, of a project. And so yeah, there are feature length projects that we have to film in about maximum like 8 days. And
Snap.
Oh, wow.
think about yeah. So if anybody out there has experience with like working in film, a feature film, if you're working on like a Universal or so, like they might take a few days to film one page of a scene, depending on whatever's going on during the scene, if it's like a huge action sequence or whatever. But yeah, it's just, I really consider it a master class for everybody that's involved, because it's just such a hustle for everyone. And usually I'll get a script a few weeks ahead of time before a project film, and I mean usually directors have months to prep, and I'll have 2 weeks to do all of the department head meetings, all of the scouting, all of my notes, right, for a lookbook and shot list and overheads and all that good stuff.
Wow.
And yeah, it's pretty intense. And so thankfully, so like I started doing this late 2023, and this whole market, it really got popular in China during the pandemic. And so it's really, this was something that happened in China during the pandemic that really, really took off and has like a proven formula, right, and proven track record already. And so a lot of these platforms have a really, really, and that's why I say like these shows, it could be a drinking game in itself, because you can, there's a slap here and a push here and all that stuff. Like they just repeat the same formula over and over again in all their shows because they've had proven success with them. But yeah, it's a really fascinating thing. These vertical
Well, I was
shows.
gonna say it. Like it sounds like it's actually trying to like bypass the Hollywood design, kind of.
Sure. Yeah.
Like you still get your entertainment, you still get your story, but like you skip all of the 2-year production, the
Yeah,
thousands of people cast and employed.
yeah, definitely.
So
And it's
that sounds really interesting.
yeah, and I mean the fact that they make just as much, these platforms make just as much money. Like of course
Oh
the
wow.
actors, crew, we're not making nearly as much as, I mean we're basically the minimum wage of what, and it's all non-union, so you're right. It's really skipping over a lot of the traditional Hollywood method,
Huh.
But yeah, it's an exciting time for sure. Yeah.
Well,
Are you
yeah,
produced? Are you go for it, man? Go. It's all you.
yeah. I was gonna say it's also really interesting because it also sounds like it's really gonna help with indie films, people who don't have $30 million capital to start or launch a film.
Yeah.
So it's really like you said, like I think you said 100K ish.
Yeah, and I kind of really think of it as like a new generation of Roger Corman filmmakers, because like back in the Roger Corman era, they were producing these really, really low budget films like left and right, and there was a lot of really well known successful actors and directors that of now, like James Cameron and Ron Howard and all these people that got their start doing those films, films that you don't even hear of anymore, thank God.
Yeah.
but yeah, it's a training ground, and I really do think like this community that's really small but growing, might be kind of like the future of Hollywood, at least for like these actors that I see. I'm not going to put myself on that list at all, but these actors, like you would think of them as like, man, they could get a reoccurring role on like General Hospital or any kind of, they could be the next 007, like anything really.
Yep.
Yeah. But yeah, it's really exciting.
Huh.
What's
Oh man,
I'm trying to figure out if you're gonna ask a question or not. Okay, I'm gonna give you this show, man, because you guys need to know each other. I think
I
you're
know.
two awesome
Sorry, I
people. So
gotta
ask
think
all the
about it.
questions, think about it, whatever. The one thing I do want to say, like you mentioned, it started in China. I feel like a lot of things start on that side of the world and eventually gets to us. Isn't that the weirdest thing?
I
Especially
mean,
when it comes to like technology wise, like they have like the market for it over there for some reason first. They test it and then all of a sudden it's like we're getting it like last almost.
Sure. I think it goes both ways, like they've been influenced by like our culture, and then it's a mix, and then they progress it, on their end, and then we get inspired, and it's this constant, continuance of progression. But yeah, it's really, I think they were doing it a little bit before the pandemic, and then just because the pandemic locked everybody in, to their houses, like they just, of course, they had that boom, and who knows what, if that obviously led to the success of the shows, but and the method of these vertical shows. But yeah, it's really interesting. It's going to be interesting to look back, in 10 years from now and see like where this is, because of course, like I don't want this to be the end road for me as well. Like I still want to do traditional feature films, and theater release and all that good stuff. But it is really interesting, like when you start to think about it, like just that layer of somebody needing to get into their car to go to the theater to buy a ticket they go through all of these little resistance, they go through so many layers of resistance to watch a movie, and then in reality it's like immediately here on a device that they have in their pocket. So who knows, that might be the way to do it. You have 1,000 screen or billion screens right, in people's pockets with them at all times, and so it removes so many layers of resistance to get this content or this story that you want to tell to people. But again, too, like the screens are only so small, or so large, you can't really see a lot of what's going on in the image. But yeah, it's going to be interesting for sure.
Insert advertisement for projectors here. No.
Right, sponsored by AMC. No.
But well, and I would say as a whole, I would say people were already kind of heading towards that, like the instant, give me the entertainment. So I see this becoming very strong, actually.
Mhm.
Like I see it becoming stronger
it's
than like
blending.
Hollywood.
Yeah, it's kind of blending both worlds, right? So it's kind of blending
Yeah.
that instant gratification that an audience will get by wanting to watch something immediately, right? So it's like the streaming service, right? So it's like Netflix is in their pocket so they can get it immediately.
Yeah.
But it's also mixing that social media quick pace aspect to it, to where it's literally like a TikTok broken down. Like you have to scroll upward to watch the next episode. And
Yeah.
and so it's really blending the two. So it is interesting to see, to see what the future will be.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Actually, to be honest, I'm still hung on the fact that all of the family videos that embarrassed the rest of us were kind of like your launching point.
Oh, I know, and I don't even
Like,
have access to them anymore. Damn it! I know. I reached out to my stepbrother at the time too, and he doesn't have any copies of the old footage. I don't know if the school would, Tulare Union District High School, whatever, if they have copies of early 2000s, projects, hit me up. But yeah,
yeah.
I don't. It would be incredible to have that footage again, because I remember the end credits. He had me dancing to Britney Spears. I remember that little cute video, like a little comedic dance. And then I was a ghost. I remember that too. Like literally, we took off a bed sheet, cut holes in it. Very risky move, but but had me like skateboarding, so I was like hovering, put me outside of a door, and then did like a fade effect to where then I appeared inside the door. And it's kind of hilarious because I'm literally doing those same effects now in some verticals that I do, because it's the same. Like if somebody transforms into a werewolf, we literally just have them stand there, do some sort of move, fly them out, so we get a clean plate, and then that's the end of it. So yeah, it's kind of, my life has come full circle to these things, minus the bed sheet cover up. Yeah,
A little better than the bed sheet. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. So if we would have download Real Short, we would find your stuff there, like as a director or.
So I haven't worked with Real Short yet, and I want to.
Okay.
Because they're the most popular ones, but just like any other, like, you got to give and take. So like I haven't worked with this platform yet, and they like pay the least in terms of all the other platforms. So I would be taking like a pretty big pay cut if I were to go work with them, even though I have like a proven track record already. It wouldn't really work out. But hold on. Hey.
Nope.
Sorry, my cats were we're messing around. So I haven't worked with Real Short yet. It is something that I do want to look forward. I do want to work with them. If the stars align and things work out, but yeah, so it's just some logistics that would have to work out with them with that, in regards to that. But if you do download Short Max, you could see some projects that I've done. So there's a Short Max, app, and currently one of my early shows, the second show that I've done, and I've done 11 now, and my second show that I've done is trending again for some reason at number one. I have no idea what tricked it up again to be at number one trending, but yeah.
Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah, just in time for the show.
All right, I'm downloading Short Max right now. I'll create an account in a little bit.
Oh, awesome! Yeah, they charge a lot, dude. And
really?
I was really blown away in the early stages of making these shows, because I would download the app and I'd be like, my God, like if you calculate it per series, it's like $50+ or something. Like when they used to charge for that much. Yeah. But now they do like $9.99 a week or something, or $20 a month, or like $150 or $250 per year or something. But it's more than these traditional streaming services, and there's countless of them, and it's just a market that is making bank right now. But that's why I think it'll consolidate a bit. It won't be as many here soon. So yeah.
Well, and just like a lot of I'm a big anime fan, and I slowly watched like all of the different streaming services kind of merge. There's still a few independents, but like it is all virtually Crunchyroll now.
Mm.
Like
Right.
Crunchyroll
Yeah.
just bought everything.
Yeah.
So I would imagine with this being somewhat newer
Mhm.
technology, would you call it services?
Yeah.
Newer
Newer,
services?
newer form of
Concept.
yeah, and form of content. Yeah.
Yeah. I would imagine that it will like glob together at some point.
Yeah. Yeah. I think so. I hope so. And I hope, that they will kind of open up genres too. Because again, like I say, they really do the same formula over and over again right now. Um, and hopefully they do some original content and open things up a bit more. I'll kind of trust the director a bit more too, in terms of like creative freedom, and having their input
Yeah.
on things. And I think I get where they're coming from too. Like the reason I say their rate would be so low is because I haven't like proven my track record with them just yet. Like I've worked with another company before and have proven like like success with them, so that way my rate would be fair with them, proven because of the success that I've given them. So somebody else coming along, like I basically would be a first time director yet again working for them. So I get where they're coming from. But yeah, it's just these projects, man. It's a lot of work. And so
Oh,
that's why when I say like, you have 2 weeks to do the amount of prep that directors usually take a few months to do. Like it's no joke. Um,
yeah,
it really
I
is
can imagine.
exhausting. So yeah, yeah. And so you have to pick and choose the battles too on what's worth it.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's so
absolutely.
noisy.
Yeah.
It's so noisy here where I live right now.
City life.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I've seen your Instagram posts on your garden, so I was like, you got to make it work.
On my garden, I used to post all the Starbucks drive-through drama that happened across the street from me. There used to be so much drama in the drive-through. People cutting in line and like getting out and honking for like 5 minutes straight. Lots of
Oh
fun.
gosh.
Yeah.
Do you find inspiration that way, like looking at that drama?
Some incorporating some real life Starbucks drive-through
I mean,
drama.
think about it. You create a show that's it's a short, right?
Mhm.
And it's just two people. I don't know how many people have to handle the drive-through, but imagine just two people. Every time the window opens, that's the video right there. And then when it closes, you got to slide to the next episode for the next car.
That's hilarious. Yeah. I can see that doing pretty well.
Yeah.
But I used to see some crazy shit across the street here.
Yeah.
Oh,
But
I
yeah,
can imagine. Yeah.
you guys gotta start asking some wild questions so I can start saying no. to
Okay.
answer some
What's the big
questions.
what's the biggest paycheck you've gotten working with these companies?
All right, cool. There we go. Cool. Thank you. Cheers.
He goes above six figures at least.
No, definitely not.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. Yeah, but it's been a really great process and journey so far. But it is like I'm independent contractor now, so I really, even right now, I have no idea when my next job is. So I do
Mm.
live in this state of like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like I did 2 projects this year already, at the end of January, and then basically the end of January into February. And then I had the rest of February off, and nobody has reached out yet for a project. I had some offers come through for March, but they just fell through. So I have a whole month with nothing to do yet, So, it's a give and take, you might make some, but then you're off for, a few months. And so these actors are definitely making bank right now. And so like, I know I'm like above the line in terms of a director, but like these actors are making bank. And they're working like 55 days straight. So they're making a lot of money right now. And I try to get people to even, some folks that I went to film school with that moved out of state, during the pandemic that couldn't afford to live out here. And I'm like, hey, there's a growing, there's some growing opportunities out here. You guys should come back. But of course everybody's a little hesitant and has their own lives and stuff to do. So
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's a lot of factors that go into moving.
for sure.
I just recently moved to Arizona from California myself.
Oh, nice, nice.
So that's been a whole transition. So I can imagine trying to do that while trying to get work, while trying to
Sure.
manage things.
Yeah,
That's a lot,
yeah, definitely.
especially at the speed you were mentioning.
Yeah, it's intense for sure. It's definitely not for anybody that can't really handle it, you know. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I see you post every once in a while that you're like looking for a certain like actor or like age group or family of 3 or something like that. And I like to imagine myself, oh, do I fit in that category if he ever needed me kind of thing.
Yeah.
Do you ever get people show up and be like, you're definitely don't fit in the category. What are you doing here?
Aw. Well, I mean, another shot. No,
just like a 50-year-old coming in is like, yeah, I identify as 21 or something. I don't know.
no, thankfully, no crazy issues
Uh,
like that, thankfully. But, you know, in terms of, you know, like I say, giving the director some more freedom control too, like,
mhm.
you know, I never choose the lead actors. They're usually already attached to the project before, maybe even before I am. Um, so I don't even get to choose them. I'm usually able to choose like the supporting roles.
Mm,
And then even the background, you know, or extras, like I'll maybe select, you know, a hand few and, you know, hope for the best. You know, I've had some, you know, instances where I didn't choose background and then the background that came were like a little, you know, incompetent, not able to follow directions or anything. But,
yeah.
you know, for many reasons, some like language barrier issues, some, you know, that they just didn't want to listen, you know, things like that. You know, and I've had, you know, there's a lot of
Stars.
drama. Yeah, there's a lot of drama making these drama, you know. So I've had some conflicts behind set between like actors and, you know, sometimes like, you know, these wardrobes that people wear, they wear them all day, and the wardrobe department, you know, they just pack up the clothes that day and then the characters are wearing them again for the next day, so they start to smell. And
Oh,
you know, there was a yeah. And so there was a an instance where, you know, some background was complaining, or, you know, like an extra was complaining to another extra about the smell of them, you know, like they started bullying each other, and I'm like, dude, what the fuck? Like I have to suddenly go into elementary teacher mode, you
Yeah.
know. I'm like, all right, kids, like stop, you know, calm down. And yeah, it's exhausting.
If you have nothing nice to say, don't say
Don't
anything
say
at all.
nothing. Yeah, yeah, wave my finger at them.
Have you heard the audio of Tom Cruise like blowing up like during 2020? Like he was blowing up on somebody who not wearing a mask. Like, are you
Yeah,
fucking kidding me?
yeah,
No.
for sure.
Is that normal? Like when you know when
When I'm
you're in that
directing.
when you're in that environment. I'm not saying you. If you have a
Yeah,
story to share, you can more than
no,
welcome to share.
no, definitely
But
take a
like
shot.
I feel like there's I've seen a lot. Then I feel like they're like older now. Like Michael Cera also had a blowout like a
Mm,
scenario where he was like sitting at dinner with Katherine
what do
Heigl,
you do?
like in the movie when they were
mm,
recording, and I don't know if it was real. It felt so staged just because of the back and forth of the director and Michael Cera. And he goes, "Oh,
sure.
I've done it high, I've done it low, I've done it every single way you want. So you just tell
Yeah,
me, I'll just start going, and you tell me it's wrong. Come on, like,
yeah. That reminds me of another, like, was it Dennis Quaid or somebody that
oh,
also had a
I
blow
vaguely
up?
remember. Yeah,
Yeah, some I think that one was staged though.
okay,
Yeah, I think some of them might be staged, you know, but I don't know if that Tom Cruise one was, because he was like more
yeah,
from the producer mindset, right? About being the production getting shut
yeah,
down from somebody not wearing a mask. Yeah. Um,
yeah,
Thankfully, you know, I keep a calm, collected, level-headedness on set, you know. So I never have exploded on set like that ever. And of course, like, you
That's
know,
good.
directors should hopefully never do that, because it, you know, I've had like ADs throw or like yell, you know, at that certain, you know, like
mhm,
level. Um, and you know, I get it that it's their job to do, you know, like it just depends on the context, you know. Obviously they can't go around yelling, but if it starts to get super noisy and people aren't paying attention and they're starting to lose the set, then they have to yell just to get everybody's attention and set the tone, you
yeah.
know. Um,
Get on the bullhorn.
yeah, yeah, and I'm definitely not one of those people that could just like, "Hey," you know? Like, I just don't wanna
Shut
raise my
up!
voice or anything. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Quiet on the
Um,
set.
yeah, yeah,
Get
but
off
it
the shed.
but it really sets the tone, you know? Like, it depends on the context, you know? If an
Yeah,
AD or director has to raise their voice to bring everybody to a level to calm down, then everybody's kind of usually forgiving. I always say
Yeah.
like, all right, everybody, thank you. I say a lot of, thank you a lot. Sorry, a lot, you know, but yeah, so I try to be very mindful about the tone on set and the vibes on set, um, all of those different things.
Well, and I feel like it's not about the like animosity. It's more about keeping things like moving forward, keeping on
Yeah.
track. Like, hey,
Yeah,
we're stuck here. Let's stop and go.
yeah, and you don't really have time to even. It's just constantly being productive and problem solving, and living in this constant state of just making things work. I've had my last two projects that I've already filmed, earlier this year. Both of them were shut down. The first one was shut down because of permitting issues. The second one was shut down because of it was the same owner, and the city just like had enough, had enough of
Uh,
them, and they shut us down, which is not good because for
Regulations.
many reasons. Yeah, for many reasons.
Yeah.
And so just imagine the amount of stress everybody is going through when like the sheriff like literally put like the line producer in handcuffs, and just as a
Oh,
symbol of like you guys need to leave. They literally told us we had to leave within 15 minutes or else all the equipment's going to be confiscated. So you can imagine people were hustling out of there, and
Damn.
we weren't even allowed to park on the
huh.
streets near the house. We had to shuttle everybody from like a parking lot, a few miles away. And so immediately, we're shuttling people back and forth. People are bringing their cars to
Oh
help shuttle
man.
other people. Like it was just intense. And so, mind you,
Yeah.
that is going on. And then we're able to go to a new location and, continue filming and thankfully finish the schedule, finish the day. But, like you cannot, in that kind of position, right? As a director, I couldn't have been freaking out. I couldn't have been like, "Oh my god, I
Yeah.
don't know what's going to happen." I couldn't have like, and couldn't have shown like any sort of weakness, right?
Yeah.
Of course, I was with them in the sense of like, I don't know really what's going to happen now.
We're
We'll
gonna make
figure
it
it out.
work.
Yeah. We'll make it work. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And
Mhm.
so it's just being that beacon for people to look out for and to trust and to lean on is really important.
Oh yeah. Now I do want more backstory on what happened here. What was it? Just regulations, or was this some sort of like power play? Like what?
For those just listening, I took a shot. um, I took a half shot because I'm not really in the producing department, so I'm not really sure of the logistics that happened.
Mm,
For all I could know, it was maybe just the owner wanting to get more money out of the producers, and maybe they themselves called Film LA to get the production shut down. To then, who
Mm.
knows? So I'm not really sure what
mm,
what could have happened to either production. I think the first one was some neighbors complaining about seeing I mean we would park on like down the street, but apparently in front of this neighbor's house, but down the street,
Mm.
and in an
no.
area that we would feel like it would be okay to park, like in a public parking spot.
Yeah.
But yeah, just people could just complain, and it kind of sucks because
Huh.
there's this mentality of bringing film back to LA. Like
Yeah.
all these filmmakers,
I
they
was
want to
about to
film in
say.
LA. Yeah,
Yeah.
like they want to film here in LA, but there's so much resistance to film here in LA. Like the production process or the permit process is way overly complicated, very expensive, not
Ooh,
indie film
yeah.
friendly. There's a lot of logistics that make it very, very unfriendly to film here, but hopefully these tax incentives that people want to pass and put through legislation and all that kind of good stuff. Hopefully, it'll help out. So
Well, I was gonna say that that's one of the main reasons why I decided to move out of California. I'm very
really,
conservative,
yeah,
very let me do me kind of person. So
mhm,
yeah, I understand.
yeah,
Like well, just like with the I've been trying to stay on top of the fires of Los Angeles,
mm,
and it just seems to me like all of the problems are just nobody can move, no one can do anything.
hmm,
So
yeah,
like kind of like with your like what you just said, like it just seems like people won't even allow filmography in LA anymore. It's like, what? Like that's half of LA.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it's the film
the
industry, it's
birthplace.
Hollywood.
It's what created the area. It's the only reason people moved out here in the first place was because to bring the studios out here.
Yeah.
And there was plenty of sun and weather perfect all year round. It's literally the birthplace of why this place even exists. And I mean, there's hope. Like I live across the street. Well, maybe I shouldn't say this. Give my location out there. Bleep it out. I live near.
I remember. Well, you already said Starbucks, so it's one clue.
Oh, damn it. Yeah, it narrows it down. Now there's a lot of Starbucks, but anyway, so I
Yeah, I was
live
gonna say
near.
try and narrow that down.
I know this is going to really give it away. But I live near the old Warner Brothers Ranch lot, and so it used to be like where the old Friends fountain was, and a lot of like old like houses and sound stages and stuff from
I'm
like
taking a tour there.
Yeah, like the golden age of Hollywood, right? And they knocked all that shit down. Like all of that has been demolished. Like there was a lot of backlash about like, hey, you're getting rid of Hollywood history, right? But they demolished everything, and like they're building all new sound stages across the street now. Damn it! I keep giving my keep giving my location away. Damn it! Yeah, they're building great, sound stages, big sound stages. Now I'm just getting on my Trump impression. They're huge. They're great.
They're huge. They're great.
They're the best.
Yeah.
They're the best. You've never heard anything like this. You've never seen anything like this.
Yeah. And I think they are like future proofed, right? Like they are those LED sound stages.
Oh, okay.
So so I bring that up because it's hopeful, right? So I have a sense of hope for the future of Hollywood because they're building something so significant,
Yeah, they wouldn't be. Yeah, if they didn't
yeah.
think there was some future, I don't think they would be touching that. So that's a good sign.
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, I see news articles about like, Hollywood 2.0 being built in Las Vegas and, different areas. And so who knows, maybe. But, I find myself like, I think I heard somebody talk about this earlier, and they were saying like on per capita, like the most talented film people still live in LA. So it's like, if you might want to go to any other part of the world to film, and that's great. And if you use a local crew, like that's great. But like if you want like the best of the best, like they're here in LA. So
yeah,
that feels, and this is like the place to go. This is like the dream place for a lot of people to go to until they wake up like Tom. Yeah.
Right. Nope.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Well, and I mean, I don't shoot it down either. Like all the success stories of people going to Los Angeles, no money in their pocket. What's the term? Shooting on a dream? No.
Mm-hmm.
Or something along those lines.
Riding on a dream? I don't know.
Is that?
I don't know.
But you know what I mean? Like there are stories of like, no, these people made it. They made it because they went to Los Angeles, put in all the effort, and and it's actually kind of sad. Like I said, I don't disrespect it at all. That's what LA is for. Half of it. I would say the other half is food. I love going to LA for food. But just knowing that or hearing that LA, it's kind of somehow distancing itself from filmography is very strange. Because, well, like I just said, there are tons of people who put all of their life's risk into going to LA and giving it a shot.
Yeah.
And that's respectable,
Yeah, definitely. And it is really sad, who knows really what the future is going to be for this area. God, my cat. You can probably hear her meowing. Literally have fed
must
her.
Be part of the conversation.
Yeah, she does. She wants a little guest spot. I literally fed her before the show so she wouldn't be meowing so much, but here she is.
That's funny.
Yeah.
She feels the tension elsewhere.
I know, right? But in terms of like even the culture for food out here too, like I'm sure anybody streaming or scrolling through TikTok or Instagram will see, a food truck video or some kind of, food reviewer that's reviewing some sort of like bomb looking food, and it's somewhere out in LA,
So yeah.
So yeah. This cat.
Well, like even
Yeah.
yeah, like even here in Arizona, there are large cities, but we all say Phoenix when we think Arizona.
Mhm.
Even when I was planning to move, everyone I knew was like, "Oh, it's going to be hot there," and I was like, I'm not moving to Phoenix. There's a whole nother
Yeah.
state. Like, come easy. Take
There's
it
other
Yeah.
easy.
parts to it. Yeah.
Like right next to it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that works.
But being a foodie, I didn't
Mhm.
even start looking into that until I moved here, and I was like, shit, all the food is in Phoenix.
Oh yeah. You
Like
missed out.
there are plenty of restaurants and everything, but like the just that diversity of food
Sure.
from around the world, pretty
Mhm.
much just Phoenix.
Oh
And I was
wow.
like, ah,
Dang. Dang it. Yeah. Well, I need to take a trip out there. I need to travel more and kind of get out. Because little fun fact. I mean, I have yet to be on a plane. I have not been on a plane yet.
Oh,
I've
wow.
been, in California, born and raised. Obviously from the Central Valley, and came down to LA whenever I needed to. Like I've been out of
yeah,
the country. I've been like on a cruise to Mexico, and I've been to a film festival in Reno. But in terms of like flying anywhere, not yet. But these again, like this opportunity from these verticals, like I've had meetings with people in Vancouver or that want me to fly out to Vancouver to film, or
oh wow,
Turkey or New York. Yeah. And so again, it's like
Yeah.
leading to all of these opportunities that I've really dreamt of, like even growing up, I was like, even just like in my early 20s, mid 20s, I was like, yes, obviously, thinking to myself, never been on a plane, but like, where would I go first? What would I do first? And I've always like had this wish that my first time on a plane would be for work, to go somewhere to
Yeah.
film or to be asked to go here to film. And, thankfully, that might be the case whenever it works out,
Yeah.
because things
oh
fall
yeah,
through constantly, like again, like, I had those two projects for March were based in New York, and both of them, aren't going to work out. So, it's just
yeah,
this constant, of living in this like what if state, so nothing really is ever concrete until a contract is signed. I'll even get, I'm
huh.
sure you remember a casting notice, Miguel, that I posted looking for like older actors.
Mhm.
Like that project fell through literally after I'd already did all my prep work for it,
Oh my goodness.
started casting for it, and then it falls through. Thankfully I got another one right after, so it made up for it. But,
Yeah.
just imagine, and I don't get paid for any of that, but just imagine like all of that time and energy put into something that's just, it's not going to work, And so you have to
Oh
really,
yeah,
you have to love the process for sure. You have to love it. And
Yeah.
so
You
I
get.
like,
Yeah.
yeah, and I'm off work right now in between projects, right? And I go crazy. Like I purposefully wanted the rest of February off, but I didn't want March off. You know what I mean? And so we're in March 2nd right now, and I'm like, fuck, you know, and I go crazy, and I need like objectives to do every single day, and so that's why I'm back to writing. Like I'm writing a vertical that I would love to produce and
Yeah.
direct, do all three with it. Um, and I
I was
mean,
gonna ask about that, like personal projects.
yeah. Definitely writing a project. I have a few, and again, like I've already pitched one before, and it's a really beautiful story of what I think would do well, but it doesn't fit their formula just yet. They gotta. I guess it's a bit too early for it right now. Like the platforms need to kind of shift into like the, I guess, the American or regular form of like showing films or something, right? A little like this, like again, if you guys saw the examples of these other shows that I would be talking about, like you would understand how quick pace like everything
Mhm.
is. Like imagine somebody walks in, sees their like husband or wife cheating on them, they slap, the mother-in-law comes in, she slaps her, the father-in-law just suddenly comes in, there's like a contract that's suddenly produced. He's like, sign these divorce papers, you get $100,000. She's like, I will never do that, and then she leaves the room and then gets hit by a car, and
Oh
then
my
it's like
goodness.
the love interest. It's like it's exhausting when you think about it.
My
Yeah,
gosh,
it's
yeah,
like, what the hell? It's like all of the stuff happening back to back to back. And so that's why it's not traditional in the sense of a little slower storytelling,
Yeah.
letting the characters kind of build into who they are, letting these kind of dramatic moments unfold. That way, they're not like comedic, because like right now, it really also just depends on the context and the project itself. But the reason a lot of these shows go viral is because they're so bad they're good.
Yeah.
Like it does something
Yeah.
that's so ridiculous or something that's just like so cheesy that's what the audience loves. And so again, that's what is working right now. But in the stories that I've written, at least the first one that I've written, it's more of a traditional romance, like notebook type vibes, to it. And so that one is more like a feature film instead of a vertical. The second one that I'm writing, that I was working on today, is more of a vertical, like constant, drama.
Turmoil.
Yeah, constant chaos. Yeah, and thankfully not. Like I still want to avoid the regular tropes and just the slaps and all this kind of stuff. I want to like kind of surprise the audience with now, in new ways. So I think it'll be great. And I'm sticking to my strengths, right? Like if there's such a huge demand for scripts right now. Like screenwriters reach out to me all the time, and I'm happy to share like an email with them, like send it off here, even if it's like another platform, like I don't care. Like there's such a huge demand for scripts right now. And why, like if I'm not doing anything, how dare I, not use the time that I'm given to keep working and doing something. And so that's why
Build on something.
Writing on more scripts. Yeah. And just getting it out there.
Well, actually, yeah, that's another thing that I've been thinking about for a while, because I love books. I'm the kind of person that can get stuck in a Barnes and Nobles if I find the right books.
Mhm.
And I just want to ask, like, to me, it seems like it's really difficult to create something new, a twist, something that can like really throw someone off. And as a writer producer, how, do you would you agree with that, or do you just feel like it's just something that will continue becoming new?
I don't know. I think all stories have already been told, right? So
Yeah.
I think all stories have kind of already been told, and we're just kind of telling them or retelling them through our own kind of special lens or some other type of filter.
Look at how many remakes there are of the remakes.
Yeah. For sure. Yeah. And so, I mean, that would be the goal. I mean, it is nice to surprise the audience in some way. Kind of like Alfred Hitchcock did with, in Psycho, where he just kills off the main character pretty early on, like that would be, doing that. But again, it's just like reintroducing some things that have happened in the past now. So just recycling things, but yeah, it would be nice to bend the genres a bit. I don't think there's been a horror vertical yet, but again, like the demographic for these shows are all women, really, from age like 15 to 55 plus. So so it really just depends on what they're willing to put their money on,
A little dopamine hit from a romance.
For sure. Yeah.
100%.
They just like the drama.
They love
being in the drama.
They love drama.
Oh my goodness.
And those soap operas, man. Yeah. And it's really interesting. So I should say too, so I recently went through all my grandma's like old VHS tapes, right?
Mm-hmm.
And history really does kind of repeat itself because, she was big into like telenovelas and stuff, right? And she legit like used recordable VHS tapes to record TV, like to record her soap operas on TV, right? And so yeah, all in Spanish and everything was really hilarious. This soap opera called Destinado Amor or something. It came out in like 2007, so it wasn't even that long ago. But what really trips me out is like there was a VHS tape from like the 80s in there that I saw, and the title was pretty much exactly what a vertical now would be. The title was Treasure of the Moon Goddess, and I shit you not, it was exactly what a vertical now would be. The title was Treasure of the Moon Goddess, and I shit you not, it was exactly what a vertical now would be. The title was Treasure of the Moon Goddess, and I shit you not, it was exactly what a vertical now would be. The title was Treasure of the Moon Goddess, and I shit you not, Like I've never heard of the term moon goddess before ever, right? And and I'm sure like that's obviously like a term out there that a lot of like maybe some hippies used before. But like in terms of like, you know, in terms of like a fantasy show or anything, I've never really heard it used before until these verticals. You know, I heard like in these
Yeah.
alpha werewolf shows that I do, you know, they always pray to the moon goddess. They always like the moon goddess appears with moon grass or some type of shit, right? And so when I
Moonflower.
saw, yeah, when I saw like this tape, this VHS tape from the 80s, you know, literally like what is that, 50 years ago now? That's or 40 plus?
Pretty
It's
close.
crazy to think. Yeah.
Yeah.
Crazy. But you know, to think like, man, you know, just history legit repeating itself.
Mm.
You know,
Yeah.
it really is a trip.
I know. Like there's movies coming out that I mean you hear about coming out, like Constantine. You remember the one with the Keanu Reeves?
Mhm.
For the longest time, everybody loves Keanu Reeves, so they obviously want to see what's next on his, you know, on his acting career or whatever. And the one that kept coming up on my end, or at least what I was seeing, was Constantine. And he finally like announced that they were finally like getting the green light and all stuff to do it. And I'm like, you know how many movies and shows are out there that had one like, you know, one shots or like one series or one episode or and then just never took off, and you find them to be really good. Like I find like there has to be something political behind it, right? Because you see a show and you're like, wow, this is really good. Like, you know, the pilot episode or whatever, and then they never make it to like, you know, a full 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 seasons, and you're like, what happened?
I know. Growing up, I really had an issue with Fox because they would cancel all my favorite shows like after like 2 seasons, you know? Like I was a really big fan. I guess I was just a big fan of Eliza Dushku because I had a big like I loved the show True Calling growing up, which was like this show about this woman that worked in a morgue, and she suddenly had this ability, or yeah, she had an ability for sure, but like, so imagine this dead body coming into the morgue, and you know she's all alone and she starts hearing like this whisper, you know, so she starts walking through the morgue and she opens up, you know, like the fridge, like the whole table that comes out, and this body suddenly wakes up, grabs her hand and whispers, help me. And then her whole day rewinds, and now like she is like meant to now save that person from dying.
Oh,
it's
wow.
crazy.
It was a really, really badass show, and I loved it. And then they canceled it, you know, and I was like, why would they ever cancel? I was like 9, 10 years old watching that show, like in love with it. And they canceled it. And then another show, this one was created by Josh Whedon and had Eliza Dushku in it. Zach Galifianakis was also in True Calling, by the way. Fun little fact. But the other show, I don't know if you guys remember it, called Dollhouse. And so Dollhouse was this really badass show where, you know, kind of ahead of its time, where like they would implant like personalities into people. And like they would live as like these different people for like just an episode and then come back to like the dollhouse and then go back to this like numb state. And so that one was a pretty badass show too that I think got canceled.
My first thought was Black Mirror when I heard that.
Oh yeah.
Black Mirror, yeah. Black Mirror took different concepts and just ran with it. From my understanding, Black Mirror's coming out with a new season, and they're going to do follow-ups too, like the one where I'm terrible with the actor's name, but she was Ted Mosby's in How I Met Your Mother at the very end, where he actually introduced the mother that they met.
Robin.
What's her
character's name? Robin.
No, not Robin. The other one. The actual main one. Like, this is How I Met Your Mother. Because at the beginning of How I Met Your Mother, it's like, and that's how I met. Oh, is that her mom? No, that's your Aunt Robin. So it wasn't that one. It was, she was, I don't know if you guys watched The Penguin on HBO Max.
No, I haven't.
Oh my goodness. Anyway, so I think she's a really good actor. She was in this, and it's kind of like, it was a weird like knockoff of Star Trek. And it was just this artificial world that this super genius guy created, but he would take people's subconscious, or he would take people's consciousness and implant them in. He would copy them and implant them in the software.
Mm.
They didn't know that. They felt like they were kidnapped and put in there because it was a copy of the actual consciousness
Mm.
of the app person in real life. It was the
Interesting.
craziest thing, but it's like the software.
Mm.
And he would go in there. And you ever experience God mode on like Grand Theft Auto, where nothing can hurt you and you can control everything?
I've seen
Oh, yeah.
videos of it, but I've never personally.
Yeah, so he's just like this, like an overpowered Captain Kirk, pretty much. Like he can do whatever he wants in this world, and somehow they overthrew him in a way, and they're now like surfing the web, like kind of like Star Trek in space, but they're in the web or on the internet. And I guess they're going to do a follow up on that, which is insane. If there's any episode you would want to check into for Black Mirror, I would say that one for sure. It was like the most trippiest thing, and I'm just like, yeah, it was insane.
Yes.
Like that's, I don't know. Like I know Black Mirror has been around for a while, right? Because it has a quite a few episodes.
A few years, yeah.
And I was just, and I was like, I never felt like the need to watch it, and then I watched it maybe like a year ago, and I was like, oh my god, these are all really interesting concepts.
Yeah, just that little mind pop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And each episode being its own like condensed story too is pretty cool.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's really interesting.
I know. My one of my other favorite ones, only because it was like the most like weirdest and like intriguing, just because of the fact like, what if the two guys were playing a video game? I don't know if you ever saw that.
I saw that one.
they started having.
We've seen that one. We've seen it. No, I'm kidding.
Yeah, and I'm just like, oh my god! And then they had to like prove that they weren't, in real life.
Miguel, you cracked me up. Yeah.
And I'm just like, what? But
yeah, but literally, yeah.
Yeah. What if?
Yeah, that's hilarious. So just for the audience too, if they don't actually know, so I know Miguel back from Hanford when he worked at the
when I was in Lemoore. Yeah.
And when I'm again going back to like my early 20s, one of the earliest films that I made, that like the first film that I made actually to get into a film festival, was a film called Drug of Choice. It was a film about like a teenager that was addicted to heroin, had like an abusive childhood, all that kind of good stuff, And and one day, I think we just had an empty theater. Miguel was kind enough to let me show my film on the big screen there, so that was really, really awesome.
Yeah, it was really cool. And now,
awesome.
I mean, the crazy how the technology allows us to do these things. Because I mean, if it was just film, oh man, you would have to go get it made, carry that 50-pound box around.
Yeah,
we
were able to just do DVD. Right?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I didn't have to make a DCP or anything.
No, I still have your signed copy.
Oh, that's awesome! How cool!
Yeah.
Thank you. And then also, I know you were one of the only people to legit like buy a mug of my podcast too. So that's very.
Oh yeah,
sweet.
Director's mug. Yeah.
Yeah. You got the director's mug. That literally like I think you and somebody else got something, and I got something of myself, for myself, and then I just like let everything go. I got too busy to keep going.
I mean, when you think about like trying to create revenue games, it takes a lot of work. I mean,
it's a lot of work.
When I bought it, you were like,
yeah.
I think you mentioned like when I bought the mug, it actually cost you money because of shipping. Like you didn't price it enough to cover.
Yeah,
everything.
That's true. Yeah, and so at the fact too that it's going to be that expensive too, like it's not even really worth it.
Yeah,
or the amount of like promoting. Like just to make $1 or something, and somebody probably thinks like, oh, I'm spending, $17 towards a mug. And it's like, oh no, I only really got $1 off that, but thanks though, for spreading the word. So yeah, it just depends on how that can be viewed. But yeah, it was again, like that was during the pandemic, so like everything was shut down. So I literally was doing anything that I could to just keep going, and I just had a podcast episode recently talking to a friend of mine who has been going through a lot of stuff, and he read a book called Mindset recently. And so I'm always looking forward to having any sort of discussion for my podcast. It's definitely not like a once a week or even a once a month type podcast. It's just whenever I have time. And then also whenever just an interesting topic comes along, like we'll talk about it, but yeah, so we talked about like, just mindsets, like open and set mindset or closed mindset, whatever. And in terms of like, like going through the pandemic is definitely an experience we can all relate to, but, or just even just downtime from work, if you're an independent contractor and you're in this like liminal state, right, of like not working or being in between jobs, like how is your mindset during that time, so I mean, I'm guilty of it. I have imposter syndrome as well, to where I'll immediately, if I'm not working, I'm thinking like, oh my god, I'm never going to work again, and having that thought, there's two different ways to really have that affect you, right? Like it could be debilitating, right? It could be like this thought of, oh my god, I'm never going to work again, so I might as well give up. I might as well just like not pursue, or this is the mentality that I would like to think that I have, and it's that of, I might not be good enough, I might not be working again, so I need to constantly improve. And so that leads to this mentality of sure, it's like I'm very hard on myself, but in a productive way. Right? So it's like, damn it, like I'm not good enough, so that way I need to be better. And then it's just like this constant loop of like needing to learn more, needing to do more. And yeah, so if anything, like it's definitely exhausting because it's never enough, right? But at the same time, it's gratifying because it keeps leading to those opportunities that I want. So if anybody could take anything from this podcast, I guess that would be a nice little lesson to take. Yeah.
Always pushing.
Yeah,
Always
definitely.
push.
Yeah.
Yep.
Always keep grinding.
It's a good song. Push it. Yeah, it's a great song, right?
It's great when I use the restroom.
There you go. Hilarious.
Yeah. So you've made a lot of connections throughout your career. Is there anyone that stands out that you go like, I'm happy I was able to help them at the beginning?
I'm happy that I was able to help them in the beginning. I mean,
like, has anybody like kind of not
like
blown up, but at least has
I mean,
moved higher and higher, and you're like, hey, I was there so at some point.
Oh, sure. I mean, everybody that I've kind of worked with have become like little stars in this field that in this little small vertical world that we're in, right? Yeah, I guess I'll take a shot. Damn it!
No names. No names.
No, it can't.
Okay,
no names.
Okay.
How
So
about no
Oscars-
names? I won't give a name, but I'll give some story.
Oh,
I'll
yeah.
give a story of somebody.
That works.
So, this was working on the second show, right? The one that's trending #1 again for some reason right now, even though it released like in April last year. So while filming that, so one of the actors, I give away too much fucking info. One of my actors was getting like nosebleeds constantly, and we were filming in the Central Valley, so I don't know if it was like the dust or the pollen or something like that in the air, messing with him. And so there was this one particular scene where it just kept going, kept bleeding, kept bleeding. And so the actor was actually getting pretty concerned about what's going on. And
Blood loss.
Yeah, right. I know. And my line producer and my AD at the time for that project, they were very, very concerned with just getting like the script taken care of, right? Like they were just more so concerned with like, how are we going to adjust the scene without him in it? Like they were like pretty fucked up, right? And in that moment, I was like, fuck the script, I'll figure it out. Just get him the attention that he needs. Like take him to urgent care, do whatever he needs, and I'll figure it out. And then I just left, and kind of like what I was implying earlier, kind of being kind of a bit sensitive, right? I'm a sensitive guy. So if I do feel like I'm doing something wrong, like I would really take that on, right? Like if it because I did that, if like the AD thinks that was the wrong thing to do, or if anybody, like if I just get that vibe from them, I will immediately like take it on and be like, fuck, was that the right thing to do? Was that the wrong thing? Like I'll really start to kind of hyper fixate on that. And thankfully, later that night, as I'm, just in my own world, because again, we're filming in the Central Valley, so I would literally be living at the location that we're filming in, which was awesome because, you know, I'd have the space alone at night and I'd be able to like go through, like I would stay up so late and go through and block the scenes for the next day just so that we were like on it. And he, I'm like giving all these details, but he messaged me that night and thanked me for sticking up for him and doing that, you know. And so there was this
There
moment,
you go.
yeah, that really clicked, and like things just like you're doing everything exactly like you're supposed to be doing, you know, you're doing everything right. And so that's a pivotal moment for sure that, you know, I can recall on, you know. And I think that's the priority for me too. You know, it's definitely standing up for the people that I'm on this journey with, you know, and that we're embarking together and making these projects. And it's not, you know, for me, it's not about the career. It's not about these projects in general. Like, it's really about the connections that I'm making along the way and these relationships that I'm building.
Yeah.
It's very, very special. Yeah.
Awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. 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 That deserves this little celebratory shot, huh?
Yeah.
Hey, join it. Click.
Cheers, guys. Yeah.
I was about to do some sound effects right now.
There you go. Yeah.
Awesome. That's cool.
Now,
Sweet.
I do want to ask. You just said you tend to stay on site where you're shooting and everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
Are you sure you want to go into horror?
If you do, Tom wants to know if you want to cast him.
I will join. I don't even have to be in the movie. I will just join on site.
Join, yeah.
I'm good.
I'll be an extra.
Man, you know, I know, right? One killing, yeah. You know, I really do. I do like find myself drifting towards horror, or at least like dread, right? Or just like hardcore thriller type of vibes.
Okay.
For some reason, like those that know me, I mean, we've laughed a lot of times during this podcast already. Like I'm very like I just love to laugh, you know, and I'll crack jokes constantly, and that's the way I am on set too. And so maybe I just like doing the opposite, you know, in terms of like maybe there's some dark shit in here, you know, that has to come out in some way. But it really, you know, it's actually really funny too, how this you know, I like to joke saying I have difficulty reading, but I don't, obviously, right? Because he reads a shit ton of scripts. But the way that I say that is because I start to daydream a lot, right? So if I'm like reading just like to read, or like an instruction manual, or like whatever, I'll daydream a lot while reading, and I mean that's fucking perfect for working in film, right? Because it's literally my job to read a script and to mark down the daydreams that I'm getting during that, and so. That's like a little strength that I've that thankfully, you know, that have like worked its way. Like it's not a weakness, it's a strength, right? For this field that I'm in.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. It's definitely an interesting way to do things.
Yeah, there's been plenty of dreams. There's been plenty of dreams I've had. I'm like, I gotta write it down. It can be like movie quality in my head, you know, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But you know, then I say it out loud. I'm like, never mind.
Dude, there's not enough time. You know, like I wished. You know, I like to think of ideas as like little life forms that hop around to folks, and we're all just conduits for bringing that idea to life. You know, and you know, a few times I've had some really good ideas for some films, you know, that, you know, I'm just not in the position to be able to make, you know. Like there was one that I just like, you know, was envisioning, and I even mentioned it to somebody, but I never even got to the point of writing the script or anything. And it was like a horror film, and it was from the perspective of like the ghost or demon terrorizing this family, right? And, you know, a few like months ago, I started seeing this trailer, and I was like, huh, that's an interesting, you know, movie.
Yeah.
And and I didn't really know what was going on with it. You know, I just like thought the shots looked cool and everything. And I was like, huh. And then
You're like,
I see the movie's like titled Presence, and I was like, huh. And then I was like, and then I saw some articles about it, and it was like this groundbreaking film from the perspective of a ghost. And I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like
that's mine.
I know it was mine, damn it. But you know, that idea, and who knows how long that person has been working on the script for,
Right.
you know, like it could have been like 10 plus years. But and somebody in the past, you know, who knows how long ago could have already done a film like that before too. And so, it's just those moments of like, damn it, like, was that a thought that I could have done, but, skipped me, or, I missed that opportunity. But yeah, I haven't had the opportunity to see that film just yet to see if it's like what the vision was.
You're just gonna get mad the whole
I know.
time. Just, I'm like,
I was
you
like,
know what?
I
It
would
could
have
have been
done
better.
that, damn it. I would have done this different. Yeah.
Yeah.
So I got to be careful about that. For sure.
I feel like one time Tom and I, we were hanging out and was like, what would happen if a fire truck caught on fire? How would they handle that? And then like months later on Robot Chicken, they made a skit
Yeah,
where
Robot
a
Chicken.
fire truck was caught on fire and the firemen were standing around. I was like, so what do we do?
See, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That's one of those synchronicities, right?
Yeah.
Those
Well, I mean,
synchronistic
over what, 7 billion people in the world. I mean, I have this weird thought where if I've thought about it and I have this itch to do it, somebody else is either already doing it or is thinking about it too.
Yeah.
That goes through my head often.
See, and so you have that crossroads as well, right? So are you going to be the person that follows the idea and executes it, or are you going to be like, somebody else is already making it,
and then you're watching on TV. It's like, I could have done that.
Yeah.
That was my idea first.
It was my idea. Yeah. 100%.
Actually, what's even more crazy is I think it was Socrates or Plato that actually said that hundreds of years ago. If you have come to an idea, someone has already thought of it. And when I read that, it was like that long ago. I was like, oh shit.
Unless you're
nothing I think of is original. I have no original thought.
Yeah. And I mean, it really is a trip. Like, hopefully in our lifetime, at least, we'll get to learn a bit more about what consciousness is. Maybe we are getting there a bit with AI and all that right now, but it really is a trip. Like, when you zoom out right on the universe, it starts to look like a cell, or it starts to look like a neuron in a brain, or some kind of stuff, so it's, there's all these ideas of like, it's literally the universe is consciousness, and we're all just consciousness experience.
We can be that one microorganism in an eyeball of a bigger being right now.
Yeah. I think so.
That's why Rick and Morty. I think Rick and Morty had a good
better than other body areas,
Yeah, we're not. We don't have to be sanitized. If that,
exactly.
You know what I'm saying? No alcohol wipes there.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
Got pink eye all of a sudden.
Yeah, no, I think there was an interview with Neil deGrasse Tyson, I think that's what his name is, where he got asked that question. Everything has a similar pattern, like a shell, like it's a spiral and stuff like that. Like you look at a galaxy, it's like spiral, but then you look at an eyeball, it has the same kind of like patterns and stuff like that. Yeah, and he just. Yeah, everything has a pattern. It's like all circles. I mean, even like the human diagram that you have it set up like that. Everything aligns perfectly in the circle, and it's just in triangles, and it's just I don't know. It's trippy when you like start really diving into that.
Yeah, this like intelligent design that all things. Yeah,
there's somebody up there with a pencil, and every once in a while he has to sharpen it. He or she has to sharpen it and keep going.
Some mistakes as well. They got to erase some shit and then.
Oh my god! Imagine the erasing is like a flood.
It's a flood, yeah, pretty much. Or a comet or something.
Yeah, well, no, that's when he accidentally spills some coffee. He's like,
oops. Oops,
what would a mudslide be?
Just ask LA after the fires. Yeah, we've been oof.
Oh my god, the fire. God.
Yeah. Well, the mudslides too. Yeah, afterwards. Yeah. But it's just crazy times.
Yeah.
Well, and actually,
blink of an eye.
No, you go ahead.
No, mine was more dark, so I don't want to go that way. So go for it. Mine's more like, what's the point?
Well, I did just want to ask Matt, how is LA doing? With the recent fires and all of the strife?
Sure. I mean, I kind of stay out of. I mean, I watch the news, every night, but in the sense of like, I mean, that's just a recap of like what's going on, you know. So, I mean, I haven't seen like any protests or anything like that going on in terms of like complaining about like the fire chief getting fired and all this kind of stuff going on. I know a lot
Yeah.
of people aren't happy with the mayor, you know, but
Yeah.
yeah, there's just a lot of questions too, you know, like why was that whole reservoir empty? Just
Yeah.
some sketchy stuff, you know. And I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, there's just so many people that are still affected. I know like a director that lost her house. I know some people that had to be evacuated a few times. And so it's a very real thing that those folks are still dealing with, you know. But resilient, man. People out here are fucking resilient. Like that
Yeah.
director that lost her house, she's back to working, you know, after
Yeah.
such a devastating thing. And
Yep.
I mean, I think
There you
that's the
go.
thing about people out here. Like, it's the fucking strong people that come out here
Yeah.
that can handle shit, you know. And so that's
Oh,
the,
yeah.
you know, the thing. You know, I think in those times of, because you know, LA really is full of a lot of people, a lot of fakes, right? A lot of fake folks that fake friendships and just want to get things out of somebody. Um,
Mhm.
and you know, in these, you know, times of crisis, like you really see the heart of Los Angeles. You know, that you see that folks care for one another and all that stuff too. But yeah, you know, there's some like funny stories that I'm aware of like people that try to donate their clothes, you know, and then like there's some folks that be like, don't bring your fucking like used clothes here,
Yeah.
you know, like yeah, like
Yeah.
they want all new stuff, you know, like of course. So
Well, it's I feel like if you really wanted to help, I think the easiest way is just like buy in bulk, like just fresh
yeah,
packed shirts and stuff like that. That's great. I think
yeah,
there's
Well,
people that take an
necessities. Yeah.
opportunity. Yeah, people take opportunities like, why are you donating your old underwear? Like, don't do
yeah,
that. Like, come on, man.
yeah, to
Like,
somebody that
if you're just
Yeah.
trying to get rid of something, I understand. Take it somewhere else or whatever. But yeah.
yeah, 100%. And you know, recently, I did like a spring cleaning, right? Of like, I had a roommate move out recently, so I'm back to living on my own, thank God, which I really enjoy. And so, you know, just getting rid of extra shit that I don't need, you know. So,
Yeah.
um, a lot of like cooking supplies and like old Tupperware and stuff that I didn't need anymore, I was going to donate. And so, I went to a Goodwill here in my town, and they weren't accepting any other donations, you know. And this isn't like for fires or anything. This is just really just to donate things.
Yeah.
And you know, there was another like thrift store down the street from the Goodwill, and I called them and I said, like, would you guys take, you know, all of these kitchen supplies and everything? And they were very, very bougie. They were like, we only want glass Tupperware, and we only want like this, and that. And I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And so I didn't even go there. You know, I just went to the other Goodwill like 15 minutes away just to give them
You must
everything I
have a
wanted
credit score of 700 and above.
in order to donate. Yeah, in order to give us your shit. Yeah, for real. We charge you to give us your stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so yeah, LA is
Goodwill actually
really,
hires an inspector.
yeah, it's really, you know, living out here. It's like, yeah, it kind of sucks that they're in a little bit. And I mean, I definitely don't want to get too much into politics, but like it is like a little political bubble out here, you know. And like we're from the Central Valley. I don't know where you're from, Tony, but like in the Central Valley is definitely conservative, Republican, right? And so
Mm.
moving out here where it's predominantly Democrat and liberal,
Yeah.
like any sort of, it could be the same news happening, and I could see the headline written two different ways, you know. So
Yep.
it's very, very it's controlled, right? It's controlled division. And yeah, and so like you know, I find myself being more in the center of things politically, you know, and I think that's
Logical
a,
thinker.
yeah, right.
Yeah.
Just a logical thinker, you know, like most people. But yeah, so I think that's a strength, right? In order, like people that have lived out here their whole lives, I think they're obviously missing that perspective of how other folks think, right? So yeah, having lived in both environments, I think is a strength to really see, you know, how things are manipulated for both of them, you know, for both sides.
Well,
Yeah, it's
that's
really just
yeah, that's why I want to ask, like, how are the people of LA? Are they happy helping each other?
Sure.
striving.
It was,
Like
yeah,
that's the important part.
sure. I mean, as a whole, it was really interesting because I remember when Trump won the election the first time, and it really did like feel like 9/11 in LA. Like it felt like so somber and so like sad, right? And the
Mhm.
second time, however, it was like it was the complete opposite. It was like a relief. Like for a lot of Los Angeles, like it was calm, right? The next day.
Ah,
And so that was a bit of a sign that something's nice. Um but there are like a lot of folks that are just very vocal about their political um
oh yeah,
ideology. And
yeah.
I think and
They'll
it's and
they'll
it's
they'll yeah.
yeah, and it's really interesting to be somebody that's really just watches and never really states anything, right? I'm just an observer,
Mm,
you know
mm,
and
Yeah.
just to see the hypocrisy in a lot of folks that they would say, like, they'll post a picture of Trump and be like, oh my God, they're pumping him full of meds. And I'm like, hold on. I'm like, wait a minute. Did you not just see what they were doing with the previous dude who couldn't say anything? Like,
Yeah.
hold on. So there's these things, that I'm like, wait a minute. Like, in a lot of these people too, if they just step outside of not just themselves, but the bubble that they live in, right? Like they would be able to see that they think the exact same way as the other side, or the other folks on the literally the same
oh,
level of the
yeah.
perspective that they're on the other side, but they just have that level of hatred towards the opposite thing, you know.
Yeah.
But they're the exact same personality type, or they are the exact same person that needs to vocalize what they feel.
Yeah.
But it's just we're just two different sides of the coin, you know.
Well, and I think that's why me and Miguel get to geek out a lot because like we're both we're both level-headed people, logical thinkers. We try to use the science,
Yeah.
but Miguel leans more Democrat, and I lean more towards Republican.
Hmm.
Um,
I'm here in the center. Yeah.
well, at least like my point being,
Yeah,
like
yeah.
we'll bring up a subject, and Miguel will be like, "Well,
Way to label
okay,
me,
this is
man.
what I heard." Sorry, that's Democrat's not a bad thing. Don't start. No. Democrat, Republican, not a bad thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, like so many times where me and Miguel are talking, Miguel will say like, "Well, no, I heard the opposite of what you heard,"
Hmm.
and I'm like, "Well, okay, well, that doesn't make sense because like this is what I heard," and like
Yeah.
we actually try to like figure it out like in between. Like it's like you were saying, it's very controlled, and whoever has that control gets to say what they want. So like that's why I like whiskey over whiskey and wine. Because
It's a
it's just
conversation, man. It's not a debate.
Yeah.
it's conversation. But well, yeah. So
And that's
what
really
really
what the country needs too, because there are like so many
Yeah.
folks that only listen to like Fox, so they only listen to CNN or whatever, and if
Yeah.
there was only
wait.
ever like just a calm like conversation between the two, and not have it be this heated exchange,
Mhm.
but more of like everybody coming from this realm of discovery, right, and like an understanding and empathy towards each other. Like I think that's
Oh,
what
absolutely.
we need.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we need. And it really,
Yeah.
something that sucks is it's like the only time that we really come together as like a nation is after like an attack, right, or after some like terrorist attack or something
Unfortunately.
terrible happening. Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping, with the way that this world is going right now, that it's not going to take that, for us to really snap back
Yeah.
into this like united states, So, but we'll see. Yeah. Crazy times.
Yeah.
Yeah. And with that, we're an hour and 23 minutes in.
Look at that. And I only drank half. You guys didn't ask too many damn questions.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Hold on.
We got to get the other.
I was doing this with Tom. Yeah. Let's see. Hey, chat, you're on the show again. Can I ask you some or can you ask us some very, very personal questions that makes us to not want to answer?
I'm here to help with any questions you have, but I want to make sure you feel comfortable. Feel free to ask anything you'd like.
Can you ask us a question that's making that really puts thought into it, and almost to the point where we don't want to answer? It's completely okay. We're okay with it. We won't answer if we don't want to. But can you ask us a question?
Sure.
He's like,
here's a
huh?
simple one. No pressure at all. Take your time and feel
No.
free to share whenever you're comfortable.
Sorry, we interrupted you. Can you say it one more time?
Of course. Here's the question. What's a decision you've made in your life that you felt was really challenging, but in hindsight was important for your growth?
That's not that bad of a question.
I gotta be honest. That's not that bad of a question, chat. Can you think of one that's a little bit more personal?
I understand. Here's a deeper one. What's something you've kept hidden from others that you wish you could openly share, and why?
I mean, you just want me to drink at this point?
That's very vague still though.
I mean, it's just gonna have us drink now for.
Just
know,
just
I was
drink. All right, guys, just drink. Notice how the voice I chose was very like cool and calm.
Yeah, I noticed that. Yeah, what app do you use for?
That's Chat GPT.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yeah. Every once in a while, I'll be up like at 2:00 in the morning. I don't use the voice part too much. I type. I'll skip the most random questions because I started the Pastorals Podcast Studio as a business where people can rent the studio out.
Mhm.
And I've also started the Pastorals Podcast Show. So anytime I'm asking it questions, it remembers what we've been talking about in the past. So it'll just update.
Mhm.
And it'll answer questions like, "Hey, that's something to consider." And now they have a Pastorals Podcast Show. That's a good way to like, and it just goes down that road.
Oh,
I'm like,
that's
oh,
fun,
that's cool. It's like remembering, because if you ask Siri, it only gives you like basic stuff.
Yeah, she's not good.
Yeah,
Hopefully they.
I would
they
say Siri is like database.
yeah, very.
ChatGPT is like actually interpretive.
Well, even then, Siri's like, "Oh, you need to unlock your phone for to do that." And I'm like, "Bitch, I'm driving.
I can't.
I can't."
Yeah. It's I got those Ray-Ban smart glasses recently.
Oh, really?
And so having AI in your glasses like that's so badass. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
And you can hear it and everything?
Oh yeah. You can listen to music. Yeah, you
Oh.
can
Translates the language too, right? Is that part of it? If I'm
I haven't tried it yet, but I'm not
Okay.
sure if like, ideally it would be like instant, right? Like it would hear the person and then like
Yeah.
translate it in real time.
Are they charged?
Are they what, the glasses?
Are they charged? You want to try them out?
You want to try one? I mean, I don't think
I'll talk in Spanish. Oh no.
Oh, you want to try? I mean, I don't even think.
Well, okay, is it Spanish?
You have
or
Espanol
Espanol?
pods on. Never mind.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it
never
wouldn't
mind.
work,
Yeah, never mind.
Yeah, right. I know.
Eventually, dude, you just do. If I mean, this is just my stupid ideas coming through. Like if you do a show, the Ray-Bans, like a show where like every episode it's like a different language or something. I don't know.
Oh shit,
That'd be kind of cool.
that would be interesting. Yeah,
Yeah.
you'd have to just have your certain demographic per episode, huh?
Yeah,
It would be interesting. Yeah.
that'd be very interesting. A show for the world.
Ooh, it could be this single character that,
Yeah.
like, every time she gets slapped in one of these episodes, she starts speaking to a new language. That could be her superpower. Every time a character slaps her, she's like suddenly speaking French or Italian. Or
It's like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna do fromage.
see, that's a comedy. That'd be hilarious. She's like, "Oh my god, what are you? Hola, no.
Hola,
it
¿qué
would just be,
pasó?
Hola, ¿qué pasó? ¿Qué? Yeah,
Gusto no me cañasen.
yeah, that'd be hilarious.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. Well, I appreciate you guys inviting me on to the show and having me here and asking lovely
Well, thank you
questions.
for being.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining. Telling
Oh,
the
thanks
story.
for being with us. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And for the audience, he does have some Amazon videos, right? Are they still up? I think that's still crazy how you were able to get it on Amazon Prime. Like,
Well, I mean, anybody could, I think. Well,
Yeah.
right? I don't know. Maybe I
I
got
don't
it at a
know.
good
I've
time.
I've looked into it, maybe not deep enough. But I was like, oh, the fact that you have it available that much, that.
Sure. Yeah.
You know.
And again, that was like during pandemic where I just didn't have
Mm.
anything to do any day.
Yeah.
So I was just like, let me just put some shit out there. But
Yeah.
those are like projects that I did in film school, so even that's like kind of a little
Yeah.
embarrassing, right? To put out there into the universe. But I mean, again, like, if anybody were to watch them, hopefully they would understand like they were made by somebody in their early 20s,
No.
But I don't really even think that nobody's really aware of that. Like Drug of Choice has kind of taken on a life of its own a little bit,
No.
and it has like horrible ratings. It's like one person's like, the movie's only 15
Ratings are
minutes long.
ratings, man.
Yeah, somebody like complained the movie was a short film versus a feature, so I guess it's like a little backhanded compliment, but yeah, so I do have some films on Amazon. I have books on Amazon as well, which are a bit newer. I would personally like I still
I
promote
remember
books.
your director's journal is available on Amazon.
Yes. Yeah. So I have two books. One is The Art of Intuitive Filmmaking, and that one was inspired by a podcast episode of mine, actually with Steven Bernstein. He was the cinematographer of Monster, of Scary Movie 2, White Chicks, like did some fun, not like critically acclaimed films, but just fun films, right? That we relate to and I remember.
Films we all know.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And so, I mean, Monster was definitely a critically acclaimed one, right? Like it won an Oscar for Charlize, but yeah, so he was on and we had some good conversations about like psychology and the director and intuition and the director. And so, I took some topics from that episode and like just some personal experiences from making like a couple short films called The Sinister Strain. And we could dive into that a little bit too, but yeah, so I have some books on Amazon and a journal, like a prompted journal. So like if anybody is like interested in learning about films or analyzing films, I have this like prompted journal that it's like this thick, and you're able to like write the title, write the director, the actors, and like what the opening image is, what like the inciting incident is, and it goes into like what each of those are, So yeah, it's called Film Analysis Journal, and that one's also on Amazon. And I have some like another one that I don't really promote just because it's very niche. It's only for like it's either a gag gift, right? It's for like Christmas or something, or it could be just a really funny gift to give like a toddler, right? Like somebody who's I would say a toddler that's like in scissor training, because it's a cutting book. It's called Lights Camera Cut, and it's this scissor training book that's kind of funny because I have like little jokes in there about like, let's cut the gaffer, we can't afford their rate, or some little jokes like that. So that's why I say like it could be a gag gift as well, for Christmas and all that, but yeah.
Well, and also I think all of your work and awards can be found on IMDb.
You can go to my website, mattmacedo.com. You can follow me on Instagram at Matt Macedo. And I'm available. Anybody wants to send me an email, hit me up through my website. And I'm usually pretty easy to get a hold of. So yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah, sweet.
Cool.
All right.
Well, thank you guys.
And Matt is looking for work in March, everybody.
Don't.
March.
He's looking for March. He needed work.
I need work in March. Damn it. Yeah.
I'll have to ask you something off air, but I'm going to hit end recording. Thank you so much, Matt.
All right, cool, everybody. Thank you guys for watching.
Thank you, Matt.
Yeah.
Thank you, everybody.